Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Autodidactica. I am one half of your host, Matt Paul.
And I'm the better half, Glenn Clark.
Arguably true. Last week, or last episode, never going to stop saying last week. Last
I
episode,
know.
we were, oh, that was the finale for season one of
Right?
Autodidactica. This is the premiere of season two. Um, Last month's episode, we discussed Star Wars as Star Wars and spirituality
Right.
and how they intertwine and connect. It was a fun time. You should go check that one out if you haven't already. This week, well, we are doing it this week, but this episode, we will be discussing social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And
Nice.
I can already foresee that this is probably going to devolve into me and you just ranting about
Right.
various things
hmm
in regards to the construct we call social media and all of its outlets.
Right.
Um,
Right.
you are likely listening to this on some form of social media,
Right. YouTube or Spotify.
or maybe you saw it on Facebook,
Right.
connected to any one of those things.
hmm
And so, without further ado, I just wanted to kick this off by asking, when did you first start using Facebook, the most common and popular social media to date?
Facebook, gosh, I don't know. I don't know, like 2009-ish, maybe. I don't know, maybe a little earlier than that. No, it had to have been earlier than that.
I think
Uh,
that was yeah, because I believe Facebook was started in 2006.
mhm.
Um, so right
Right.
around the beginnings. Were you a
So
MySpace
around there.
user?
Yes, before Facebook. Well, I had both, there was some overlap before
Hmm.
MySpace went extinct or just became, pointless. Um,
Right.
and eventually just it disappeared. At least, my profile did on there. Like for a while I could still go back and look at it, but
Boy, taught a whole generation how to code that MySpace because you had to code everything.
uh-huh. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Good times, I guess. And I mean, I got into it because Facebook just sort of became like if you didn't have a Facebook account, it was kind of like not having a phone. Like everyone was coordinating everything through Facebook. I was in youth ministry at the time and that's where everyone was. So
It was a utility. It was easy.
right, right. It was
You,
like getting a phone. Like
yeah. With all new features, you had shared calendars. You
right.
could create events,
hmm
and you could post about events.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now, were you
Oh,
of proper age to be using Facebook and MySpace?
I mean, I don't even know what that means. Like, what is
Well, I
proper? I
mean,
wasn't 4 years old.
the terms of service,
Oh,
dictated that you
was
had
it
to
what,
be a certain age.
18
Um,
or over?
I think it
I don't know
was,
what.
I think it was, well, see, Facebook started off,
Uh-huh.
you needed an invite from somebody in it already when it first
Oh,
launched.
I
It was,
vaguely remember
yeah, I
that.
got into it
I
way
got
after
an
that
invite, I think.
because
Oh, but go on.
it was a college startup, and it was
Uh-huh.
basically, most colleges now have some sort of website or portal that essentially acts as a university run social media. It's
hmm
usually very crappy,
It's so crappy. I hate those things. They
but that's how Facebook got its
never
start.
work.
It was a networking platform. And
hmm
I've never watched the Jesse Eisenberg movie.
Oh,
I think it's
neither have
called The
I.
Network,
Yes.
with Justin Timberlake and Andrew Garfield.
hmm
Um, so, I don't know what all that disclosed, but this is mostly hearsay from what I've gathered growing up with the platform. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was a way to network with some college students. And so the
Right.
deal was that you needed an invite from somebody who basically started it.
Hmm.
and was already in it. And from there, it blew up, and
Hmm.
it became free to create an account.
Hmm.
And before long, it was heresy to not have a Facebook.
Right. It's just like, what century are you living in? How are we even supposed to get in touch with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
like
I think
I,
by about 2009, it was absolutely essential to lead a social life.
right, because that's why I think my mind went to 2009. I think I was on it before then, but in 2009, like I feel like that's kind of like the moment that social media was just essential and everything was linked. Like it was all interconnected and you just couldn't
Yeah, people used
escape
to have
it.
their phone numbers attached to their Facebook account.
I
Like
remember that like it was an
you could ha
option.
yeah, you
I
could
didn't
have it
do
on
it.
there.
I
Yeah,
was like,
no,
why
there
the
were
hell would I want everyone? I don't even want everyone I know to have my phone number. Why would
absolutely.
I put it on Facebook?
But no, so I was not I had to bump my age up, as did many of my generations, to even create an account.
Hmm.
Since they've allowed you to revise your age, and I think now you have to be at least 13 to create one.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
it was higher whenever I made mine. But I may not have even been 13 when I made one. I think I was in the sixth grade. I think it was right around
Hmm.
like 2007. Um, and so I was turning 13 that year, but
Yeah.
everybody had a Facebook, so I made one too. And MySpace was dying and all that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, but I did a little digging, and one of the first problems that I have with modern social media
Hmm.
um, is this little thing we like to call an algorithm.
Oh my, don't get me started. Well, I mean, you might as well.
Yep, nope,
It's
that's why I'm saying it.
Autodidactica.
Yeah. And so I was wondering, when did Facebook implement an algorithm? And it was actually only, I say recently, somewhat recently. I think it was
Hmm.
2013 was when Facebook implemented, I can't remember what they called it. It was a proprietary algorithm technology that they created
Hmm.
and put in there. It has its own name, is what I'm trying to say. But
Right.
their algorithm, they put it in there, and it was supposed to intuitively show you things that you engage with more.
Right.
And whereas prior to that, it was pure chronological. As in,
Yes.
you like if Glenn posts at 11:50 and then I post at 11:55, that's how it would show up in one of
Yeah.
our mutual friends' feeds.
And I
And
liked it better that way.
and if but the problem became when you have 5,000 Facebook friends, they didn't expect people to just start friending randoms.
Right.
I
Right.
don't think they anticipated that in their initial model.
Hmm.
And when you have 5,000 friends, you miss everything. Like Facebook
Hmm.
isn't going to show you
Well,
everything
yeah.
because you'd have 2,000 posts at 11:52. And how are you supposed to ever see somebody's post?
Right.
And
Well, I think it wasn't it's and isn't it still optional who you actually follow, like whose stuff actually shows up in your feed? Like, can't you unfollow a person without unfriending them? I don't
you
know because
can.
I never bother.
Yeah, you
But
absolutely can. It
so
didn't used to be that
yeah,
way.
okay. Well,
If yeah, you could the only options were like remove friend or like block all notifications.
yeah, that's kind of extreme. Because there were plenty of people, I didn't want to remove them because like social media has become such a staple of our culture that to unfriend someone or unfollow someone is akin to excommunicating them from your life.
Right.
Like disowning them. Like that's how it's taken, and I don't want to do that to people, but there are so many people who I don't want to see the dumb opinions they have about dumb things. I don't want to see, I don't want to hear what they have to say. I don't, people will piss me off. I don't want to get pissed off. I want to look at just dog videos, honestly. I'm trying
Yeah,
to train the algorithm to just show me golden retriever videos.
as
I'm
you will.
getting pretty good. Like it shows me I would say 90% golden retriever videos and 10% stuff that pisses me off.
Right. And so now we are in the situation where the algorithm sort of creates a almost like a loop, like a
Hmm.
cycle where like you only interact with these people, so it's only going to show you these people and you'll never see anything outside of those people or products or whatever.
Hmm.
And I feel like so it's basically not what it started as and no longer Facebook at least is no longer like what I wanted from a platform.
Right.
And it's become so, the scary part for me is I'm essentially what do they call that, a lurker or
Hmm. Oh,
something
same.
where I don't interact with anything. Even if I like what I saw, I don't even like the
Oh,
video
I see. Yeah,
or
you're
the
even worse than
status.
me.
Yeah, I don't engage with anything. But what's scary is that I can still tell that there is an algorithm happening and somehow
Right, it's tracking what you're looking at. Where
looking
do
at.
I suspect that it even
It
pays
listens.
attention to where you slow down scrolling.
I think
Like where it
so.
can tell you're looking at something because something will scroll past me and I won't like it or interact with it. I'll just have taken a minute to look at it and then moved on. But then that thing will, or similar things will keep repeating, or that person's posts, or posts about that politician or whatever. And I don't care. Like I don't,
Yeah, the
like I
most
just
I do
don't
as far as
want to.
interaction is inspect somebody's profile. Like I may
Hmm.
read their status, but then I click on them to see who the hell are you. And
Ah,
so, but then it'll start showing me all of that person's statuses every time they post or something like
right,
that.
right.
And,
And
and
oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I actually had nothing to say. I was just
Neither
trying
did
to
I.
fill a silent moment.
Neither did I. And so with social media, the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Hmm.
we always do this. At the start of the video, we may start with one stance, and by the end of it, we may end with a different stance.
Right.
Currently, I think that, social media is going down a path of, I'm trying to think of the word, uh, not insignificance, disingenuousness. I don't know, like it's very ingenuine and it's all very, you hear this all the time. It's all very fake. And
To
we've
say
heard
the
that for
least.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
all heard that for years now that like, oh, don't
Hmm.
believe everything you see on social media, not just when it comes to modern day politics and things like that, and fact
Right.
checking and the more nitty-gritty of what
Hmm.
Facebook is often used for now. Um, but just that like when you see somebody's life as this amazing, awesome adventure, it's important to remind yourself that they are only showing you what they want you to see.
Right. They're showing you the highlights and not
Yes.
necessarily the negative highlights. And some do show negative highlights.
Oh yeah, that's what
Like,
I call my Facebook soap operas. Like I
right.
am specifically still friends with many an individual whom I do not know, who their life is just interesting to me because they post
Uh-huh.
every little detail of what happens in their life, what they have
Right.
done to screw up, how people have screwed them over, and I'm
Hmm.
just eating popcorn and watching it all.
Yeah. Oh, see, and that's what I value. I value that kind of social media thing. Like, I look at stuff like that as from a perspective of someone studying the 21st century 500 years in the future. That stuff will be valuable. Those are the kinds of vlogs I like to watch on YouTube where they'll show you good stuff, but they'll also show you where things take a dip in their life. And I try to do that in my vlog. Like I look at it as I am preserving a 21st century life. Here are the ups, here are the downs. That's cool. That would be what I would think is a good in social media. Like we are the going to be one of the earliest generations in human history that is this completely documented. Like
Oh
where we
yeah.
can just look back 500 years from now and just study a random person's entire life.
Yeah, we are creating primary sources for future
Yes.
historians.
And I think
Like,
that's fantastic. I am all in on that aspect of social media.
interesting. You mentioned perspective, and that is a
Hmm.
thank you, perfect segue into the first thing I wrote down as a note here, as another talking point. Um, I feel that social media gives too much perspective and creates like a dilution of connection due to oversaturation. That's what I wrote
Oh,
down. Now we got to dissect what the hell I meant by that.
yeah, I was gonna ask, what the hell do you mean by that? Like what?
Um,
Please explain and elaborate. Please expound.
so basically, I think it has to do with how the word friend has
Hmm.
become diluted through
Ah,
Facebook and other social medias, friends and followers and
true.
all of that,
True.
where
True.
some people may be under the illusion that they are actually friends with this person
Right.
that they
I can
added.
think of so many examples of people who have that delusion, and I'm like, these people are not your friends.
Yes,
They're
yes, no,
contacts. They're people you interact with, but they're not your real friend. And I know there are exceptions, sure.
yeah, sure.
But for the largely, these people are not your friends. That doesn't mean they're bad people.
No, and I mean
Just,
that has to do with like celebrity connections. I think that may be
mhm.
what I was getting at with this as well. I was like you feel like you are closer to Johnny Depp
Right.
because you have been friend or following him on social media for years now, or you
Hmm.
may feel like you are closer, maybe more small time, but maybe a local celebrity that you're actually friends with on Facebook or
Right. Right.
something like that, and you start to delude yourself into thinking
Mm.
that you have this connection with them. And so that's what I mean by like too much perspective. I don't think I'm getting at the core. I should have written down more on that thought because I remember thinking this thought,
Hmm.
just not exactly what its core was. I recently watched a movie. It was,
Oh, I've heard of those.
yeah, it was great. Moving pictures, awesome.
Yeah, I hear
And
they're even working on making it where you can hear it, like where they can talk.
yeah, so it was this great great film that I slept on when it first came out called
Uh-huh.
Don't Look Up. Have
Hmm.
you heard of that film, Don't Look Up?
I recognize the title, but I don't
Uh,
know what it's about.
All-star cast, Leonardo DiCaprio, uh, Mystique from the new Gen X-Men's, Jennifer Lawrence.
Ah, okay.
Um, Chris
Okay.
Evans makes a cameo appearance, Ariana Grande.
Hmm.
Uh, but it's all about these two astronomers who find a comet is coming to kill us all in exactly 6 months.
Oh,
And it is
right.
all
Okay,
about,
no, I remember this now. Go on.
yeah, all about how they are now these two astronomers, a professor and a PhD candidate, are
Hmm.
now the foremost experts on. They are now shipped off to the White House and told to meet the president and give her a briefing.
Right.
Um, Meryl Streep, the president,
Uh-huh.
um, and they get the cold shoulder. They get told, "Wait, we've got an important meeting," and it's like a birthday party for like one of the aides in the White House. And here they are sitting with like a five-star general and like the head of apparently this is a real position, but it's like the um planetary defense department of NASA,
Right.
and it's like one guy. And so they're both there. The two astronomers, the planetary defense coordinator, and a general are told to wait for this important meeting, which ends
Uh-huh.
up being a like a 3 hour birthday
Oh,
reception. And then Jonah Hill, who is playing basically uh, Donald Trump Jr., the
Wow.
affluential chief of staff appointed
Yeah.
by the president,
Uh-huh.
who is the president's son. And he's like a
Mm-hmm. Okay.
total jackass, like does not hide his what do you call that?
Jackassery.
Nepotism.
Ah, okay.
Like
Do you know my
and
father is that kind of
exact
guy?
that kind of guy. And
Mm.
he's like, yeah, we're probably not going to see you today. And then they're both like, does she know why we're here? And but long, it's a great film. It's a long movie. Great film,
Uh-huh.
all about how if there was a meteor approaching right now, what would happen? Like, Meryl Streep didn't want to deal with the meteor because midterms are coming up, and
Oh
giant
Lord,
death
too real.
meteor looks too bad in the press.
Uh-huh.
But then somewhat throughout the movie, she's losing in the polls. So now all of a sudden, stopping the death meteor is good publicity. So now she wants to deal with it. And it's just,
Right. But only to get
uh,
elected. Like if she doesn't deal with it, if a big meteor hits the planet, what does it matter
yeah,
if you get elected or not? You
crazy
will
good.
go the way of the dinosaurs.
And man, like, so like watch that. That's the film that like I was thinking all about social media because social media goes crazy on the show or on the movie. Like,
Uh-huh.
uh, one the astronomer PhD student has a mental breakdown on like a TV show, and she immediately gets turned into a meme
Oh
because
no.
the hosts of the show aren't taking this seriously at all,
Uh-huh.
and she's like having a panic attack because she knows we're all about to die, and so she goes off, starts swearing and crying, and then
Hmm.
just seconds after the show, people are memifying her.
Right. She turns into leave Britney
Yeah,
alone.
pretty much.
Mm.
Yeah, and brutal, crazy good movie. I recommend everybody give it a watch if you're into
All right.
horrifyingly realistic comedy.
That's on my list then.
Because every laugh that I laughed was like a ha ha ha, that's
Like a
too real.
horrified laugh. Yeah, it sounds too real.
And
But I mean, that's a valuable sort of a type of storytelling, like holding up a mirror and
yes,
saying, "Look at yourselves." Don't
and
just, yeah.
not to say anything else, but you do get full frontal of Meryl Streep
Weird. I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I need that in my life. Like I would trade the current president for Meryl Streep as president, but I don't think I want that.
all I'm saying is not bad. But yeah, no, so social media, has sort of, I mean, and I feel it too sometimes. I don't know these people, but sometimes I do feel like a connection
Uh-huh.
to certain people that I've never even met before. I
Hmm.
feel closer to artists that I follow because I use social
Right.
media to a certain practical degree.
Uh-huh.
I use it for product shopping,
Hmm.
to follow like independent artists, tattoo artists. That's how I got this whole entire sleeve was just by finding, looking up art on Instagram owned by Meta, and
Uh-huh.
looking for an artist that suited my preferences. Found
Hmm.
somebody, liked his stuff, contacted him, met him, got some art done, exchanged goods and services. It was great.
Yeah.
And, then I like, certain breakdowns. I like commentary. And so I do use it
Hmm.
to a certain degree, but you have to remind yourself that you don't actually know these people. Uh,
Right. Right. Like I feel like I'm hyper aware of that because like I I have mixed feelings about it, like as an author, as I like getting reviews and stuff, even if they're bad. I like interactions. Even on this YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, I like it when I get interactions. I've never had any like scary ones, but so I know what that's like for creators and like I follow a lot of creative people, other authors, artists and such. Um and so I feel like every now and again they do something where I feel like I really ethically should comment on this because I am a lurker like you say for the most part. I don't comment on stuff, but sometimes I'm like, if I did this video, I would want to hear what my thoughts are. Like, my thoughts are things that I would want shared with me. So I'll share them, but I always am like trying to word it so that I don't sound like a creepy person who thinks they're my friend, you know?
Yeah,
I'm like hyper aware of that. Like, I'm scared that I'm gonna come off that way when I leave a comment on some creator's creation, you know? Just a genuine comment about, why I value what they did or what they do, you know? So yeah, I mean, but some people they don't, because the line isn't there for some people, and all too many these days. Like the younger the generation, from, what I've been reading, I'm fascinated by intergenerational dynamics, always have been. But like recent studies show that the younger generations are, the less they understand that line. The more they think they are friends with that celebrity they follow on social media, and it just isn't the case. But
yeah,
yeah, I
there
mean, it's a
it
strange because they're so accessible.
yeah,
They're accessible like someone you know. It's like,
especially when it
watch
comes
my
to
morning
streamers.
routine. Like, okay, I know this person's morning routine now. I know how they work out. I know what they eat. I watched all their mukbang videos for some god awful reason. I'm glad that fad went away. Either that or I went away and it's still there because I'm just
It's
not
still
watching.
there.
God, why? Why would you want to just sit there and watch someone eat shit? I don't understand.
Yeah, no,
But
not
like
my
it,
cup of tea. I was into the
but it,
streaming scene for a little while
uh-huh.
where like I felt like I was part of a community with
Mm.
these people. And you know, to a
Oh,
certain
like
degree,
games?
like games,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
like a person playing games and we'd all
Right.
be
And
there
it's
talking to each other.
right. And you can be in the conversation, like if they're doing stuff live. Like
Yep,
on YouTube, I know you can. You can leave comments. They may comment on your comments. Like, oh, we're friends now.
yep. And but then at the end of the day, you may just be a stat line to them.
Right.
Like, you know, so it's important to, you know, make that distinction, especially the bigger the streamer,
Hmm.
you know. And don't get me wrong, they appreciate it for the most part. Most
Right, of
streamers
course.
genuinely appreciate everybody in their community.
Yeah, they love the interaction and the feedback.
Yeah.
The validation for what they're doing.
Yeah, because I mean, especially if you're doing it full time, that takes a lot of balls
Right.
to quit your day job and go full time streaming. Um,
Yeah.
the one that I interacted with the most, she started a day job again.
Hmm.
Like she quit her day job and went full time streaming, and it was just too taxing for her. And
Uh-huh.
she went back to a day job, and her community was cool because she went down in viewership, but
Uh-huh.
the real ones like stuck with it. And so now she went from, you know, having an average of about 270 viewers every time she went live to having about 70 to 100. But those 70 to 100 were part of the original 70 to 100 when she was getting started.
Right.
So she has like multi-year, like some of those people have been there for like 5+ years, like since she started her channel. And you know, the only reason I stopped watching was because the game that I watched her play was a game I was playing, and then that
Hmm.
game sort of fell into the wayside as it grew in age, and so she went on to play
Right.
different games that I'm not very interested in. So thanks for all the good times. I'm gonna go do something else with my time now. But yeah, no, kids these days, uh, you know, they feel closer than ever to their
Hmm.
streaming idols.
Right. I mean, because they've been there from birth at this point. Like if you're a Gen Alpha,
Yeah, if you've been
you've
watching
never known a
Ninja since you were
world.
5,
Yeah, you've never known a world that wasn't saturated with social media. You live on
interesting.
the internet.
Yeah, I should have gotten my little sister's perspective on this
Hmm.
because, you know, she's a full 8 years younger than I am,
Oh,
and
wow.
she's been
True.
a YouTube gal.
Uh-huh.
for the entirety of her life, basically.
Right.
Like she still watches YouTube more than anything else. I'm like, what do you
Uh-huh.
watch on YouTube? She's like, stuff. I'm like, fair enough.
Does she watch
Because
us? I mean, if not, she can.
I think she does. I think she tunes in every now and then. Because yeah, I mean, she watches her husband on
Oh, is he on
Twitch.
there? Oh, on Twitch. Okay, I'm not
Yeah,
on Twitch.
yeah. Uh, he streams games occasionally, and
Interesting.
she may not be actually watching, but she'll
Right.
be lurking just to
Uh-huh.
give him viewership. And if that ain't love. But
Right.
but
Well,
yeah,
yeah, I
no,
think
so
that's something you do if you actually know someone. Like we did that with Charlie's
yeah,
thing that
Charlie's
time.
charity stream.
Yeah, we had it on that
Yeah,
day,
the whole day.
the
The
whole
whole day.
day.
I couldn't figure out how to send him money.
Right.
Because I was watching it through my Xbox and I don't know how to donate through
Uh-huh.
Xbox. I know how to do it on my
Hmm.
phone, which I guess, I could have just cracked open my phone and done it there, but
Right.
I was busy. That was the day of my birthday party, and I was giving Rolf a hard time for not being at my birthday
Oh,
party.
that's right. I knew it was some holiday that they were doing that. Your birthday party, I guess, was a holiday.
They were playing Sea of Thieves. Now they did play me Happy Birthday because apparently that's a song you
Oh,
can emote on like
that's right.
accordions and stuff. And so they did play
Hmm.
me Happy Birthday on stream. And that was pretty cool.
Nice. But see,
Uh,
you're already friends. You already
yeah,
actually know those people in the real
yeah,
world.
I have a connection to them, or at
Yeah.
least one of them.
Right.
So yeah, so now more of the bad. I mean, I guess I should throw in something good. Uh,
Uh-huh.
we are in a very tumultuous time here in the United States,
Yes.
to say the least. Currently, on Monday, President Trump was inaugurated, as of the recording
Hmm.
of this video. And so some
Yeah.
things have been coming down, and social
Oh
media
Lord.
is abuzz with
Hmm.
opinions from every single person
Yeah.
um, who is a active user on social media. And
Hmm.
one of the things that I've been contemplating while with this topic in mind, social media, is I'm not a huge fan of all of the misinformation and yada yada that goes on. And I wish that
Right. The
everybody
propaganda.
yeah, who has different opinions from me, I wish they couldn't post on Facebook. And, that's the long and short of it, essentially. But and that's what the other side wishes as well. That's what any debated thing pretty much wishes is that you're wrong. You shouldn't be able to say that. But not to
Hmm.
that extent. Free speech and all that. But essentially,
Right.
what I'm getting at is that for the marginalized, social media has often been a useful organizing tool. People who have felt
Hmm.
alone
Right.
throughout some of the worst times of their lives, have an outlet where they can be reminded that you are a real person, you do exist, and
Hmm.
we are here
Oh
with you.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's hard for me to like, while most of my views of social media tend to be negative
Hmm.
in terms of how it affects society and our collective consciousness,
Yeah.
I think that social media does provide a useful outlet for the marginalized
Hmm.
to seek one another and seek companionship and solidarity. And so, do you have any thoughts on that and that aspect of social media, the way people can come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the good things, depending on which side of it you're on. Like, if you're a regime that is oppressing the people and they're using social media to rally against you, to set up protests, which has been done with great effect over the years. Facebook in particular has been used to set up rallies and protests. I think a corrupt or tyrannical regime would be like, let's get rid of Facebook. But I think, for the masses, I think that's an excellent tool. And for marginalized people, like you said, like that's one of the things I feel compelled, but I was also worried about, I'm so paranoid about sounding creepy on people's things. But, Donald Trump has done at least two things. I haven't looked at all of his executive orders that he's passed in his first few days, but at least two of them were targeting transgender people. And there's one of the transgender YouTubers I follow made a video, a very short video about it, and just, how scary it is and how community is important and how they have community on YouTube and all that. And, I just kind of, that's someplace where I could say, as a cis ally, I'm going to be standing up and speaking out. And that is a good thing to have a platform where you can put it out there. Like when you are threatened, that your group of people is under threat, and you can put it out there and you can hear back from all of the people within your particular group and from outside of it who support you. Unfortunately, you're also going to have trolls attacking you and saying horrible things to you. But I think that's outshined by the support that you can find through social media. The things like, I mean, there's a fine line between being a attention seeker, just wanting to be doing what everyone else is doing and actually showing support. But things like during marriage equality, and there's been so many things like this, but during that whole, the last days of that fight, so far, um, when everyone was putting up those red equality signs, just so
Yeah.
if you're a gay person or a bisexual person who may wind up wanting to marry someone of your own gender, you can get on Facebook and see this ocean of people who are just saying, "We have your back. We
No.
support you. We are
You
on your side
that was the
despite what the
exact
damn
movement.
politicians have to say." Oh, what?
That was the exact movement that came to mind when I thought about the
Mm-hmm.
good that social media has brought was the Equal Marriage Act or the
Uh-huh.
Marriage Equality Act was when that was like the hottest debate,
Uh-huh.
seeing the floods of, like you said, the profile pictures just showing solidarity of the equal sign in various shapes and forms. I think it
Uh-huh.
started off as red, but
Right.
there were, pride flag ones, there were trans flag ones, there was
Right.
all sorts of
All over the
equality
place.
all over the place. And that sort of movement couldn't have happened without that sort of medium. And it made me think of, the diverse backtrack a second. Let me write that down. But I was gonna say with the unity of the groups a righteous and just person might believe in, there's also a place for bigots to gather.
Right, right.
And, you can't have one without the other. And a large
Exactly.
part of that problem comes from the fact that most of the things that you and I tend to rally against shouldn't even be political issues to begin with.
Hmm.
And so anybody who's rallying against them makes it political.
Right. Well, right. Like, I mean, take transgender rights. Well, I don't know if you were going someplace.
No, no,
I don't
that's
want to
fine.
stop.
Roll with it.
Because, you know, I feel like if you really separate yourself from that conversation and look at who's doing and saying what, like, yes, to me, perfect and total equality for all people is fundamental. It's so important. But as a campaign issue, it really was, in my opinion, just from observing, it was the conservatives who created a problem that didn't exist and forced the liberals to respond.
Yes.
And it became this huge issue that, you know, there is no threat there. Transgender people are not a threat. It was a contrived thing, but it was the conservative people who turned it into an issue so that they could use that to make you scared to vote for the liberals because they're going to turn all your kids transgender, which isn't a thing, you know? Like
Right. They create a
it's
boogeyman, and then now we have to
right, yeah, so
now that we have to explain to everybody that there is no boogeyman.
right, and then they're like, well,
And
you're
now
just woke and
we
you
look
want
like
everybody.
the idiots, you know,
It's
like,
stupid, and it's kind of like,
as a
oh,
kid,
go
you
on.
don't believe your parents a moron. I know there's a boogeyman. And so now we have to be the parents to
Right,
a bunch
right.
of
We have to be the
morons.
parents to our parents' generation in a way, like
Yeah,
sometimes, because
pretty
a
much.
lot of these are targeted to older generations and fear mongering.
Yes.
People who have never known people in certain groups that are now feeling safe being out and open about their lives. It's kind of like that's a bad and an ugly. Social media is a place where nobody is stopping you from shouting fire, whether there's a fire or not.
Yeah, that is one of
Like,
my
and that's
my
illegal in
talking
a movie
points.
theater.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that illegal? Like you can
Yes,
get
it
in
is
trouble?
illegal to
I,
scream fire in a public place. I don't know if that's nationwide
it's probably, I
or
mean, say you say illegal, it's probably a misdemeanor
right,
at
but it's there
most.
are
Like you can't pull a fire alarm if there's no fire. Like pulling a fire alarm is a
right.
serious prank,
Yeah,
like with legal repercussions. Not
because it
massive ones.
causes chaos,
Yeah, people can
and
die.
people can get hurt.
Yeah.
You scream fire in a movie theater and people start screaming and running. Some people are going to get run over. Like when you cause a panic, a public panic. But it's not illegal to cause a public panic on social media. Like, that's kind of
It's a
one
good
of the
analogy.
things, like you said earlier, that we all wish the other side would just not talk. I personally think it's great that both sides can talk. I just think there should be codified regulations on it's not to me a freedom of speech issue. And I think this should apply to the press as well, to news outlets. You should be like, you shouldn't be able to, like, okay, I guess what I'm saying, because it's kind of one of the things Donald Trump is attacking right now, is trying to make it illegal to fact check things on social media. I feel like social media companies have a moral obligation to fact check memes. Like, you can post a bullshit meme. You have that freedom, right?
Yep.
But it should be fact checked. With some of them we're doing a while back, especially during the first Trump administration, when it became very necessary to post something and say, this has been fact checked and is false. Carry on, spread it as you will, but it is clear
It
and present
it got
bullshit.
tagged.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. That's a regulation that needs to be in place.
And it was for
That
a while, and now
it
it's been
was.
repealed
Yes.
by Zuckerberg.
And
No order came down or
right,
anything. Zuckerberg
exactly.
saw his opportunity, his shareholders saw their opportunity,
Uh-huh.
and they got rid of the fact checking. And since then, I've
Right.
seen several awesome memes talking about how Zuckerberg doesn't want you to know this, but he is the 2017 dick sucking champion of the world. And they
Right,
can't fact
right.
check it now,
You
and so
can't
there's been
fact
all
check it, it
these
must be true.
Zuckerberg slander memes that can't
Zuckerberg.
be. Yeah, Zuckerberg. I believe I did see one with that moniker, and now they can't be fact checked, and there's just been all sorts of off the wall, like obviously fake, but who's gonna tell the
Right,
public
right.
that
It's
these are
making a
fake?
point because it is like you can't, like, you honestly, like, you can't, like, okay, like Fox News got sued so much for just spewing utter bullshit by people who they were slandering, or not slandering, but why can't I think of words?
Portraying.
No, I think it's slander. If it's verbal, it's
Yeah.
slander. If it's in print, it's libel. Same thing. It's like you lied about me and it damaged me somehow.
Mm.
So they actually they put this on their shows. This is entertainment.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
now
they
called
have to
Fox
say this isn't
Entertainment.
news, this is entertainment, but we're still going to be telling you, we're going to be talking so loud like this is the news that you're not going to read that. You
Yeah,
know, you're not going to pay attention to it.
the people that
Um,
watch it can't read anyway.
right, but they did that so that they don't get sued out of existence because they can't defend it in court when they say lies about people that damage them. Now they can say we weren't lying, it says entertainment, which they've done in court. And that doesn't get noticed by the people who think they're, you know, the end all be all of truth. You know, that that's how they win in court is that by pointing out that no, we said it was bullshit from the beginning. So, you know, the thing is that you can't really codify that. You can't because of freedom of speech. The like this is something people who like get mad that things are allowed to be posted often miss is that Facebook is not the government. You
Right,
know, face and you know that means Facebook can censor you. Facebook can delete your post and prevent you from saying something on their platform because they own the platform. That is not a violation of your freedom of speech. You
right,
know, it's like we can't really legally regulate that because once you start legally regulating it, then you have freedom of speech issues where
right.
you say you have to
Like when
say that
Trump's
even though
account
that's
was
what I
suspended.
want, that's what I clearly want. Yeah. Like Twitter chose to suspend Donald Trump for violating, you know, it took him long enough. Like
Yeah,
he almost started World War III years ago. You know, he was poking North Korea with a stick and they're, you know, threatening to nuke us. They didn't, I don't know what was the last straw for them, but they let him violate the terms long enough. They're right. But like, yeah, it was not a violation of his free speech.
yeah.
He's the president. No one is stopping that man from saying the things he wants to say.
And so when it
Um,
comes to censorship, like the problem that comes about when it comes to censorship and like you said, like a moral obligation to
mhm.
for these companies to do some form of fact checking and filtering the crazies out and
Right.
stop the spread of misinformation and the stop the forming of communities of like fascist movements
Uh-huh.
and racist groups and things like that.
Right.
Like they have a moral obligation to not have a racists of Facebook group page within their platform.
Uh-huh.
Like how can you allow that as
Right.
like as a a good person, a good company, whatever. You cannot call yourself both, and you cannot be
Uh-huh.
morally accurate if you allow things like that to transpire on your platform. That's what happened to 4chan. 4chan became a
Oh,
haven for all sorts of lowlifes.
yeah.
And what
Yeah.
originally started as just what 4chan was essentially another Reddit.
Uh-huh.
It
Uh-huh.
was a threads page, and
Right.
it just became a hotbed of right-wing conspiracy like freak shows.
Right.
And uh so what I've written down here was that how do you like when I mentioned that all the left issues, like you more eloquently put, all of the left issues are more they're less issues that we have with our community and they're more responses to
Yeah.
whatever the right has cooked up. And like I said, most of them shouldn't be political to begin with. Now,
Right.
some of them very much are. Like when you argue Second Amendment rights, that is a political issue.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Right, because we're discussing the
codified
Constitution.
codified in our Constitution. That is worth discourse. And
Right.
every opinion, more or less, is valid on that subject. Then
Mm-hmm.
you have to talk about stats and stuff like that, and it's a hugely complex issue when you talk about school shootings and just,
Right.
mass shootings. Then you talk about codifying the Constitution and yada yada.
Hmm.
There's as many opinions as there are Americans.
Right.
And
Pretty much, yeah.
so, there are certain, communities where people are able to come together. Somebody posts about gun control and
Hmm.
discourse transpires in the comments section. And it's
Hmm.
usually just the banterings of extremists on both sides.
Right.
And, so you can't really censor that. But man, it takes them forever to, like, I was scrolling through, I'm a part of a, um, what do you call it? I'm a part of a car group.
Uh-huh.
I have a car that I'm a fan of, and there is a fan base for this car, and I am a
Right.
part of a group that is for those fans.
Hmm.
And there was like an incredibly racist comment out of nowhere, just completely out of left field.
Right.
Like called him, it wasn't really that he called him a slur. He just called out his nationality for no reason. I believe the man, I don't even know what his nationality was. I don't know how this man thinks he knew. I didn't do
Uh-huh.
a deep dive, but he was like, "You Vietnamese piece of blah blah blah." Like he was just going off on these random tangents. And I reported the comment. I was like, "There's no need for that." Like
Yeah.
it pissed me off. And it took a week for them to take that comment down. And I'm just like,
Right.
man,
You
there's
know,
ban him
oh,
from Facebook. Like
uh-huh.
he made that. I'm sure there's plenty of other comments he's made on other people's posts. Why
Right.
does that
Right.
person get a platform?
Right. And see, and there's the line, like I think, because the way I view it, like I don't really think, well, it depends on your ethical stance. I guess I'm coming at it from a person who does in fact believe in freedom of speech as a right that should not be infringed upon. But there are lines, like I think that, were I the owner of a social platform like Facebook, my ethics would tell me that I must allow the racists to have their safe spaces to be racist together, to congregate and say racist things, just as much as I allow the people who are open and accepting of everyone, of equality, to have their safe spaces. But safe spaces is key because, if you're only protecting freedom of speech for the people who you agree with, you're not really protecting freedom of speech. You have to protect freedom of speech for the people you find abhorrent as well. But to me, I think the line is like what you're talking about. Like when you're attacking people, like when you are bringing racist crap into a car chat group or something,
Yeah,
like you go to your racist places and be a racist, but don't come in here and start assault. And that's where, like, again, actual freedom of speech, you can't stop someone from doing that. They haven't broken any laws. But on a social media platform that is owned by a corporation, they can set those policies, and they do largely have those policies. Like that you can't come on here and assault people verbally or, in writing, whatever. But the problem is enforcement. Like
yeah.
it seems like they
That's
don't
usually
really,
where
like
the
what you
problem
said, it took a
is.
week for them to enforce their own policies
Yeah.
on that.
And what I guess what I get at is that, there's like how many strikes do they get before they're
Hmm.
permanently suspended? But then what's to stop them
Right.
from starting a new account?
Right. Or
And
what's to stop Elon Musk from buying the platform and reinstating them because he just changes the policies, you know?
yeah.
That's the world we live in today, where, and that's the other thing, it's like it's all being politicized because, why does any group want to stop fact checking? Like, why
Yeah.
would anyone want you to
God,
be
I saw an
able to
article.
post misinformation because they want to use that. They want to weaponize misinformation.
I saw an article. It may not have been an article, but it was a post from a conservative blogger talking about how it's getting harder and harder to argue against the left because they come armed with facts.
Right. I mean,
And
why does
like
anyone
and
side
and
with
she
those
and
people?
she was like she was talking about how so we're gonna have to come up with new ways to argue against facts.
I,
And I was like,
why
but
does anyone
why
follow them?
arguing against facts? That's just
Yeah,
it's a
facts are
fallacy.
facts. You
You
can't argue
can't-
against them without lying.
Yeah,
It's
and so
like,
that's essentially what she was complaining about how her blog is suffering because it's getting harder to oppose the left while battling facts.
right, it's unfair that
That
the left is allowed to point out that my
they
blog
have
is
all this
utter bullshit.
information that backs up their stances and
Right,
policy. Whereas I have to come up with some sort of religious bogus bullshit
right.
and, in order to battle facts and science.
Mm-hmm.
But so that leads me to another aspect of social media that drives me crazy nowadays.
Do
And,
tell.
maybe it's something we'll see someday, who knows, but monetization.
Oh, yeah.
I think all morals have gone out the window since
Mm-hmm.
Facebook became like monetized for individual creators. Like
Right.
when it left what we talked about, how it was just a neat way to stay in contact with your friends. But
Yeah.
now, if you can just say whatever you want, it could be the most racist, slanderous, transphobic, homophobic thing
Uh-huh.
you can come up with. You can say it, watch the two sides argue in your comments,
Mm-hmm.
and Facebook loves it because Facebook has, I don't know exactly what their money model is, but the longer somebody's on Facebook, the more money Facebook makes. The
Mm.
more somebody
Right.
comments on Facebook, the more Facebook makes. The more
Right.
they interact, the more they engage, the more they dislike your angry react to your status or haha react to your status, comment, reply to comments. The more that happens, the more money Facebook makes through advertisements. People pay Facebook to display their things
Mm-hmm.
in accordance with how much viewership they think their things will get shown to people, you
Right.
know? And so, you can go out there and just post the most controversial shit with no moral code in mind, and
Right.
you make money, and that's just Facebook kicking you a little to change to say keep up the good work making our platform, the most used and interactive platform to date.
Right.
And uh, and yeah, so I mean, monetization has driven an incentive for less genuine opinions and conversation.
No, for real. Like, okay, look at YouTube, and I think they have ridiculous rules. Like to for people who monetize to where you're getting like censorship out of control. Like we don't adhere to any of it on this channel.
No, no, we're
Like
not
we
in.
say
We
we
ain't.
say
It's not
all the
about the money.
words. No, it's genuine. We strive to be genuine. But one of the things that just turns my stomach, it's like you have people doing YouTube videos and they bleep out words like death. They bleep out just dumb words. They can't say Nazi. They can't say slave. They can't say all kinds, or they'll get demonetized. And so you're getting less genuine videos where they'll try to, adhere to the algorithm. They'll try to
Unalive.
adhere to the monetization rules, and they're not producing as valuable content as once they were because they're not being genuine. They're not talking about issues that need to be talked about openly and honestly because they're worried about losing their monetization status. They're worried about losing views that on a monetized channel.
Yeah, like
Um,
just this week, Elon Musk did a Sig Heil on
twice.
twice on live television, and
Uh-huh.
so you got people defending him, you got people admonishing him, and but then you've got this guy on my Facebook friends list who's just like, that wasn't a Sig Heil, and then in the comments, people were like, yes, it was. Look at the facts and stuff. And he's just like, he would reply and say, no, it wasn't. And then like the next comment would give him all this stuff and he'd just say, no, it wasn't. And then
Oh, geez.
I'm
Trolling.
watching what's happening. I'm like, this guy has 200 reacts and over
Uh-huh.
100 comments. He's going to make $500 off of this status.
Right.
And I'm just like, it's completely obvious that he doesn't give a shit either way.
Uh-huh.
if if he did or didn't
Right.
or
He's doing
whatever,
it
just to
for the
stir up the pot.
reactions.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just like,
Uh-huh.
how are people not catching on to this? And like, this is one of the things that just makes me want to leave this planet.
Right. Right. I have that exact thought. I just want to leave the planet at this point. Like AI is a completely different issue, but it kind of bleeds in,
Yeah.
where now everything on social media we're being forced with, I like algorithms and AI. It's like, stop spoon feeding me stuff I didn't choose to eat. Let me think. Like, let me do what I want to do. Don't try to guess what I'm gonna do wrong. I mean, that's the other thing. And don't show me things you assume I want to see that I don't. Just because I looked at something once doesn't mean I want to look at that
God,
all day, every day. Like,
same
I
thing, man.
did
I
my.
watched one thirst trap video on Instagram and it's just nothing but thirst traps for like a week.
Oh, right, right.
And I'm just like, I get me back to the funny Halo clips or something.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, where's the stuff I actually like? And I like being shown stuff I would never think to look at.
Yeah.
I like being introduced to new things. And I feel like that's where social media is at right now with the algorithms and the AI, is that it's just, well, it's an echo chamber. That's not a new
No.
concept of looking at it as an echo chamber, but it's like an echo chamber on crack.
Yeah.
It's like you looked at this is what you look at. This is what you will look at forever. We will not show you anything but Star Wars and Star Trek shorts.
Which
Like
would
people
make me
talking,
happy.
well,
But
I want to see, I like Star Wars and Star Trek shorts, but I would also like to see things I
Battlestar
would never
Galactica.
look, even things beyond, like things I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Show me something new. And it's designed to never to never encourage you to broaden your horizons. Like all the things I see are, fandoms that I like, politics, and that's about it. And golden retrievers, and that's why I went on a quest to just, I'm gonna click on every golden retriever video so that it stops showing me all this political crap. And but I like the political crap. It's just, give me more, I am a broaden my horizons kind of guy.
Yeah,
I like new things.
I lean left and liberal, but
Uh-huh.
I like to try my best to maintain a neutral
Yes.
viewpoint when exploring new things and new like policy changes or
Uh-huh.
new stance changes or
Right. You want to see
new
both
information.
perspectives to take it in, to actually
As
make up your own mind.
Absolutely, as best I can. As best I can. I understand that I will
Uh-huh.
probably always lean to the left,
Right. Well,
even
yeah.
within my like as unbiased as I try to be when I look at new information, read a new article, or
Uh-huh.
see a new fear-mongering post or something like that.
Right.
When I try to dissect these things, I try to see it from both sides as much as
Yeah.
possible. Um, but then, at the same time, that's why I try to keep my friends list diverse. I try not to
Uh-huh.
delete people unless they are
Right.
just I delete trolls.
Uh-huh. That's
That's
fair.
mostly what I do.
Uh-huh.
Like right-wing trolls, they get on my nerves because I'm trying to see the genuine thought process behind,
Right.
you know, how they came to these beliefs. Like religious beliefs are difficult, right?
Right.
Like, when you consider all of the factors, like when you consider this is how they were raised and yada yada, and like to me they may be misinformed. Like, have you read the Bible? Well, maybe the Bible was read to them, except only certain parts. And
Right. Right.
they we talked a lot about dogma on the last episode, and
Hmm.
maybe, the dogma of their particular upbringing and religion has led them to these opinions. And so it's hard to
Right.
argue against those.
Right. Against beliefs, it's hard
Yeah.
to argue. But the thing is, like, there's a difference in a troll and someone who actually wants to have a discourse, and I value discourse with people I disagree with.
Yeah,
Like,
those are incredibly rare though.
I've had some really positive experiences recently on on Facebook, on my YouTube channel, like commenters who just they come in hostile, and I don't think they're expecting a reasoned response where I actually address everything that they say and let them know I hear them and here's what I think. Here's where I agree with you. Here's where I disagree with you. And then the hostility goes away. And then we're just having a conversation about things. Like, I don't remember what it was on my YouTube channel. Someone came in hostile. And then when the conversation ended, they're like, well, you've given me a lot to think about. And I'm like, okay, see, and that's why but I won't comment to someone, even though I think it's hilarious. Like, but I won't even bother to comment with a troll who's just like comments something like sucks. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we're not having a conversation.
Yeah, no. Try thinking.
Right. Like there's someone, and I, thank you for watching and thank you for stating your opinion. But on the last episode, there's a comment and it just says bad. And I died laughing reading it. And I'm like, maybe so. I don't
In
know.
some
Like
circles,
it's
bad is a
literally
is a compliment.
yeah, yeah. I mean, is this Michael Jackson bad? Is this
Yeah.
like
Y'all are some bad MFers,
right?
you
And it
know?
was a Star Wars one. Is it, or use a guy's bomb bad? Like that's but it was just bad. Like that's it doesn't merit a conversation. It is just trolling, and that's not bad trolling, you know. Bad trolling is, just what
Yeah,
bad trolling is.
exactly
It's
what
just
I just described a moment ago,
exactly, exactly.
where people take it as, fact,
Uh-huh.
and just stir up people. And
Uh-huh.
social media is not a place for the empathetic.
Uh-huh.
And
No,
it's
no.
you
Or
know
the thin-skinned.
yeah, no, it's not a place for that. And some people, I respect the people who are just like, yeah, don't have any socials. And
Uh-huh.
I had them for a while, and they just became something that I didn't want to interact with.
Right,
And
because it can get really toxic.
I mean, the whole thing. I think good comes from social media, but I don't think I'll
Hmm.
ever think that they're overly good. And then actually,
Yeah,
uh,
right.
let me see, because I had more to say, or not really. I had more to ramble about. Echo chamber.
Uh-huh.
The problem is that we've got new users all the time,
Hmm.
and they create, and usually, like, my main problem is probably with the older generations where they only add people they know, and so they
Uh-huh.
never see outside perspectives. And then
Right.
they follow ideologies. They follow people or friend people that
Hmm.
have similar ideologies, and they create just the perfect echo chamber, like
Right.
completely impenetrable. The only time they see the outside perspective is when it's painted in a bad light by somebody they follow for their ideology. You
Hmm.
know, they only see, Barack Obama's speech out of context
Right.
from a
Right.
conservative opinion writer,
Hmm.
or they only see, the election from the stance of a conservative opinion writer or their Uncle
Hmm.
Tom, Uncle
Right.
Jerry or whoever, Tom and Jerry. Um,
I got that.
but and so that creates a massive problem where they will never, when their nephews come, their grandchildren come over and they're wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt, and they're going to be
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, are those people that burn down cities?
The
You know,
terrorists.
are those the
Yeah.
domestic terrorists?" Like, and so they're confronted with
Yeah.
a completely different. They're unprepared. They're uncultured,
Right.
and when you create
They
that
don't.
sort of echo chamber,
Mhm.
it
That
it
doesn't
creates
even
that.
tell you what Black Lives Matter means. Like they're
No,
the people who think it means Black Lives Matter, therefore no one else matters.
yeah, yeah,
When Black Lives Matter is actually saying all lives matter.
right.
Anyway,
Yeah,
different
no,
topic.
yeah,
Sorry.
absolutely. And just like how I don't have an echo chamber social media,
Hmm.
but I still have a lesser opinion of people who walk around wearing MAGA hats.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
same.
and it's because I am informed on the party of which that hat represents, their
Hmm.
policy, their stances, and their
Right.
actions.
Yeah, and listen to those politicians. Like I will watch their speeches. I will, yeah, I don't want to learn from a meme.
Right,
Like I want to learn from, let me hear what they say in context to make up my opinion. I don't need to hear it from the news or a meme. Um, and
right.
I'm like you where I have a diverse I don't have an echo chamber on Facebook. I have family, and most of them wear MAGA hats and think I belong in hell. Like sometimes I get on one of my cousin's Facebook pages and just scroll down for entertainment to see all the ways he would like to see me burn. So I think that's healthy to have not,
Yeah.
like what you're saying, don't have an echo chamber.
Well, if you don't have somebody hoping that you burn in hell, you're not living a very good life.
Absolutely. You're just not doing it right.
You must be a total bore.
Yeah, like I saw a meme somewhere, like if Westboro Baptist Church doesn't picket my funeral, I have failed at life. I haven't lived
Yeah.
life the way I needed to.
Boy, it's been a while since I've checked up on them.
Yeah, I mean, since their leader died, you
Oh,
haven't heard much
did the
about
leader
them.
die?
Yeah, and it was a tiny little church anyway. They still exist. They still do the picketing and they probably still
Dude,
have their
I had
website.
picketers right out here. Well,
Oh, really?
just on a random day. I mean, maybe it was a day where something was happening, but they were just out there picketing like abortion is murder, like
Oh, oh, those are
like
always fun.
blocking the street out here by where I live. And
Mm.
yeah, Courtney was bringing me like some sort of like organizational supplies for over here
Uh-huh.
at my house. And yeah, she was like, I had to take a different route because they were blocking it off.
Uh-huh.
The police were there trying to get them back on the sidewalk. Crazy. Yeah, I haven't heard from Westboro in a while.
Right.
I did have a shirt at one point that just said "fuck the Westboro Baptist Church," and
Nice.
that went the proceeds from that shirt going to homeless LGBTQ plus youth.
Nice.
And so that was a good time. Over $20,000 raised from that shirt sales.
Uh-huh.
I didn't pay $20,000 for a shirt. It was $15, but didn't come from my pocket. Yeah, so Westboro Baptist Church, not good. Don't have them added as a friend on Facebook.
Yeah, no, no.
What's their URL again?
Oh, geez. I mean,
It's God hates F's, I believe.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
God hates
crazy,
FAGs or FAGS.com. That
crazy.
that's what it was, if it's
That's what it
still there,
was.
you know.
And it's just crazy
And
that that's allowed to be a thing.
right, but
Like,
again, freedom of speech.
yeah,
A peaceful protest, they don't physically attack people. I mean, I could argue that it isn't peaceful to picket someone's funeral, but they have to legally stay so far away, and they do. Freedom of speech is a such a
got a lot of
sticky
nuance.
thing to like, yeah, to defend because it's like you have to defend the freedom of speech without favoritism. or you're not defending freedom of speech. So you have to defend the right of someone like Westboro Baptist Church to have a Facebook page, you know?
To be wrong.
Right, to have their hateful songs up on YouTube. To be wrong, yes. They're allowed to be wrong and to be loud about it. But
Yeah. And that's a lot of what our politics is just who's louder.
yes,
And
so much so.
I was reading an article today about how what was it? It was talking about how too often Democrats bring a gun to a knife to a gunfight,
Hmm.
and it was talking about how don't bring reason to a Trump fight. And this was written by a lawyer who apparently wins a lot of cases against Trump's policies, and
Uh-huh.
how the GOP have tried to pay him $5 million to stop winning. Like, please stop practicing. And he's like, he was like, I get a perverse joy knowing that they would like to pay me off to
Hmm.
have me stop litigating against cases involving
That's
Trump policies.
fantastic.
But so, sort of shifting gears a little bit. Well, not really. It's still social media. We're here. Uh,
Hmm.
but keyboard warriors. People
Hmm.
say on, this is one of the things that drives me up a wall on, social media is people will say anything because there are no repercussions. They they
Right,
they give you it gives everybody a platform to say anything they want, knowing that you would never say that to a person's face. And most of the time,
right,
keyboard
right.
warrior is thrown at, liberals and softer people, quote unquote, that, are obviously not fighters,
Hmm.
um, that are not obvious fighters, not obviously not, but
Right,
not obvious fighters, because some of them will kick your ass IRL.
right.
Um, just
Yes.
because I voted Kamala doesn't mean I don't do jujitsu or whatever,
Right.
So, but no, your Uncle Dan may
Hmm.
post, that he thinks all gay people should burn in hell, but then when you see him at dinner and you are loud and proud or something,
Right.
he doesn't say shit.
Right.
And because
Right.
he knows you, and you're a good one. You're one of the good ones.
Right.
And
He doesn't take into account, all of the gay people are just people like my nephew, you know?
right. And so I mean, keyboard warriors, they're, in terms of politics, they're all over the place now,
Yeah.
where they
Yeah.
will say some off the wall stuff towards a group of people and with zero accountability for it. And they have a shield where their online persona has disconnected them from reality. And I
Hmm.
suppose that's a whole branch of this topic is social media has essentially become like a parallel world where
Yeah. True.
it's a different
True.
reality altogether. And you know what?
Hmm.
That is one of the thoughts that I had that I forgot to write down this week is great anime out there. Spoiler alerts, not really, but
Wait, you're gonna talk about anime?
a little bit. Ghost in the Shell. Ever heard of it?
I
Uh,
have. I've watched it.
there is a particular arc within that show where it's a futuristic cyberpunk sort of world and everybody's got a
Uh-huh.
cyber brain where you're
Right.
connected to the internet basically at all times,
Hmm.
and there was this one guy who was essentially a streamer,
Yeah.
and everybody was watching him commit terrorist acts in real time while
Hmm.
connected to him, and he was
Yeah.
providing a nexus for them to feel community.
Right. Right.
Particularly in this instance, they were all refugees living under a very stifling refugee policy within a foreign country, and they
Hmm.
all wanted autonomy. They had been living in this zone for like 40 years, and it's
Hmm.
their refugee zone. Their home was in shambles. They can't go back to their home country. And they'd
Right.
been operating within this slum world for like a couple decades, and they wanted autonomy within the country. The country in question did not want to give them that, and it was creating this massive political issue. And there was this terrorist that was essentially trying to move things along, and
Uh-huh.
he had like 3 million people connected to him watching him do all this. They were seeing through his eyes. And
Right.
he never intended to grant them autonomy. He was trying to bring them into the net. He essentially
Hmm.
wanted to take a collection of people and bring their consciousnesses with him to live within the internet, within the digital world,
Right. That's where I live.
unbeknownst to them. So
Hmm.
that has its own ethical issues as well. They may not want
Right.
to leave the
Right.
world behind, but that's what he intended to do. And I feel like that is somewhat of the direction social media is sort of going in, where there are chronically online people where they essentially have no persona outside of their online persona. And it's creating this disconnect between reality. There's a common phrase thrown around, go touch grass or something,
Hmm.
where people
Yeah.
are online too much in some people's
Right.
opinions. And I don't know. It's an interesting phenomena.
Phenomenon. You had it right the first time.
Okay, gotcha. Phenomena is multiple phenomenons.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah, no, it's interesting because I'm not one of those people, and so to imagine like how I can, if I were to create a new Facebook profile and pull an AI image of random person,
Hmm.
and then I could create this whole persona that could potentially attract other people and a
Hmm.
following, and that's not who I am at all. They're never going to meet me in real life, and I can be whoever I want to be. And
Right.
then but then you have to go and interact with the world. You need a job, you have to go to
Yeah.
school or, just it's interesting. That's more of one of the interesting things I find about social media is viewing it as sort of an experiment.
Hmm.
And I don't know too many people that are chronically online, so I can't really
Uh-huh.
say what it's like to interact with the person that is chronically online.
Right.
The only thing I see about it are memes, mostly.
Hmm.
So the other thing that we've been experiencing for probably the last 15 years since the inception of social media is propaganda.
Right.
And, we've already touched on that here and there throughout this. The algorithm, the
Yes.
echo chamber, all of that mostly has to do with the spread of misinformation and or
Hmm.
propaganda.
Yeah.
It's become a real problem since the 2016 election.
I was about to say with
The 20
Russia.
Yes, the Russia, and then more recently, but notably, COVID-19.
Hmm.
You have
Yes.
so much
God.
misinformation with COVID-19. That's when I
So
really
much.
started to see fact checking going crazy.
Right,
Like,
because it was a matter of life and death. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know if there's anyone in this country who didn't lose at least one person, know at least one person who died from
Oh,
COVID, or at least, their circle was hit. Like maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was someone connected to someone. Like you're maybe disconnected by one person,
yep.
like a person who knows a person who died, at least.
No, I have,
Largely because of misinformation.
yeah, no, I have two friends who both had a relative that
Hmm.
passed away due to COVID-19. And then I have a neighbor whose um, father passed away from COVID-19.
Hmm. Yeah, my
And
uncle did.
yeah, just everybody is one person removed
Hmm.
from, at least one person removed from somebody who lost their life to COVID-19, which is a crazy thing. That is like 16th century plague
Yeah. Yeah,
type
and
of
you have the
thing.
president telling people to inject bleach, you
Yeah,
know?
ivermectin. And then he got it, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Unfortunately, he lived.
and now it's like everybody's had it, and also because we didn't stop it, it is mutated
Yeah. Yeah.
multiple times, and now it's unstoppable.
Hmm.
I saw a post that was talking about how it was slandering the CDC, and
Right.
it was saying that, did you know that the CDC has never cured a single disease? I was like, that's because y'all don't effing listen.
Right. Come on. I mean, the Center for Disease Control, they had a playbook how to control a pandemic because they saw it on the horizon. There's more coming. And guess who's in charge? I mean,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, they immediately threw out the pandemic playbook because it was from the Obama administration. They threw it out and had no playbook.
Yep.
So, the
Send them back to
CDC, and they're working against the CDC, vilifying them and using social media to spread misinformation. Like it's a violation of your rights to wear a mask.
Oh, Illinois.
Hmm.
Uh, it's now illegal to wear a mask.
Lord.
It's illegal
Lee
to
Moot.
wear a mask. Like I'm
That's one of
like
my
that is
lines.
that's a personal freedom right there.
Right, exactly. You can wear a mask.
Like you're allowed to do that, and that seems almost like
What's
that.
Halloween like there?
Yeah, it almost seems like, or no, it specifically says, I think it said medical mask, and it's
What
probably
if,
not going to get through,
uh,
because it's stupid. But yeah, I think that the governor like signed it or something, like executive order, blah blah blah, and
oh Lord.
legal repercussions are on the way from sensible
Yeah,
people
right.
because there's more to a medical mask than the symbol from COVID-19. I
Hmm.
mean, hell, in other countries around the world, it's just common courtesy to wear a mask on
Yeah,
trains and stuff like that
yeah.
because yeah, it's a tight packed place with many different people who have been exposed to an unknown amount of things.
Hmm.
And masks are proven to prevent a certain number of those things from spreading.
Right.
But during the pandemic, there was no shortage of misinformation just going around about how masks don't do anything. They don't stop you
Right.
from getting COVID. And I was like, no, we're not saying they stop you from getting COVID. They stop you from spreading it to
Hmm.
another person if you already have it and don't know it yet.
Right. Right. Which could happen.
And they're
It's
like, but it doesn't stop it. I'm like, did you even read? They're like,
no, they didn't. They're told to be upset about a thing, and they're told loudly and incessantly on social media platforms to be upset about a thing, and they get upset about a thing.
yep. And
Be
there's
mad about this. Outrage is what sells. And that's what's really sickening to me about, I mean, there's some ugly for you on social media. It's the outrage machine because that's what gets clicks. So
yeah.
they're feeding you is trying to outrage you.
Yeah, no, and it works. It works and it
Hmm.
sells. And I was a victim of it. And,
Yeah.
I was a sort of a proponent of it for a while because I used to be, Mr. Social Justice on
Right.
Facebook, a long time ago. I would argue with strangers on
Yeah.
posts, and I would write posts. I think, whenever Obama was elected for his second
Mm.
term, I was like, "We're coming for your guns!" Like I was so stoked, and
Wow.
I just wanted to stir the pot, and
Yeah.
it was, obviously it was satire, and I just wanted to rub it in the face of everybody that they lost and we won, and
Hmm.
and you know, democracy can continue for a little while longer. Who was his opponent the second time? Was it Mitt Romney,
Maybe I think so.
or was that
I
the
don't know.
first
I'm
one?
feeling ignorant. That was a long time ago.
Yeah,
Like
it was some white dude.
so much has happened since then, but I think it was Mitt Romney.
Yeah, I think the first one was like an older white dude, McCain. I might have those backward.
Yeah, I think no. I think it was John McCain the first time.
Yeah, it was Obama versus
I
McCain, and then Obama
think.
versus Romney, I think, was the second one.
I think so. And
And
'cause
then next up was Hillary and Trump.
Barfo. Yeah.
And then we had Biden versus Trump, and now we've got Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Unreal. Unreal. Anyway.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, I deleted my Facebook in
Oh, I remember.
2016. Um,
Yeah.
I think before even that, before the election and all that, I deleted it because I just couldn't stand like, because when Trump started getting his campaign rolling, boy, it was just like, hey, did you hear? Yeah, Chandler's racist. Never knew.
Right. No,
Like,
for
I
real.
went to school with that guy for 4 years and he was a pretty cool guy. And then this jackass starts running for president and starts making it okay to be racist in public, and
Yeah.
they just started coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah,
Like,
it's been
and Trump
horrifying.
has said some very racist things,
Uh-huh.
but like the people he inspired have said way, way worse.
Mm.
Like the people that crawled out of the woodworks were like, "Oh man, he said get all
Yeah.
the Mexicans out of here." Well, you know what? Send the blacks. Well, I'm just like, "Whoa, whoa."
Yeah. Cockroaches. These people, racist cockroaches.
Yeah, as soon as they saw it was okay to for a presidential campaign nominee to start saying all this stuff, they felt it was okay too.
Hmm.
They were validated. They're racist, xenophobic, homophobic, all the phobias were just
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
validated. And they're all scared little bitches.
Yeah.
And
No, that's the truth. They're
there's
scared of people they don't know. They're
yeah,
scared of the boogeyman they've been told is under their bed.
yeah, no, and they think about it night and day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think about gay people almost at all. And
Hmm.
I don't think about trans people at all, except
Hmm.
for, whenever I hear a story about someone
Right.
who was murdered for
When
being
it
what they
comes
are.
up, like you're not obsessing over
But these people are going
people
to
who
bed at
aren't
night.
living your experience. Like you aren't mad about it when it does come up, but
I've got enough on
like
my
that's what I
plate.
don't get. What?
I've got enough on my plate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't get the people who have that kind of room in their psyche to obsess over people who aren't living life the way that they want to live their life. It's like, well, you live your life, man. You don't I don't understand being that upset that someone is different. I don't
Yeah,
understand. I don't, like I'll be upset if your difference is that you're an asshole and want to hurt me, then I'm gonna be upset. If you come at me with a phobia or an ism, then I'll be upset because everybody's prejudice. That's the thing. Everybody is prejudiced.
yeah,
And what they've found is that more conservative leaning people tend to be prejudiced against people for circumstances of birth, like things they cannot control, like what religion they are is largely a circumstance of birth, their economic status, their race, their sexual orientation. That's where the bigotry of the conservative side comes from. Whereas the liberals are prejudiced against people
character.
who are yeah, exactly, who it's choices they make,
Yeah,
like
I've met you, I've
racist,
spoken
like
with you, I've heard you, I've
yeah,
understood you, and I don't like any of it.
right, right,
That makes a lot of
exactly.
sense. Yeah. Because
But
I mean, there,
everyone is prejudiced
yeah,
against some group of people, but it's just where's the prejudice coming from is what makes the difference to
yeah,
me.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, because I mean, I have prejudices, we all
Hmm.
do. And, I have a slight prejudice towards like religious people. Like, if you tell me you're
Hmm.
religious, I'm gonna look at you a little closer to examine
Right.
if I want to further my interactions with you.
Uh-huh.
It's just the way I am. I have had bad experiences with religious groups in the past, and
Hmm.
so I will be cautious of them going
Right.
forward.
You're
And that's
cautious, but
just
you will talk to religious people. Like you're willing
yeah, absolutely.
to be friends with a religious person. You don't just say blanket all religious people
No.
are horrible. It's just that, in modern days, religion has been weaponized so much by ignorant people.
Yeah, no, it's just like I mean, it's quick, it's easy to weed them out. Just be like, how do you feel about two men kissing? And, you ask them that one question, and that pretty much tells me everything else I need to know.
Yeah, that's a good question to ask. That is a good way to weed people out.
Yeah. And, that gets rid of them pretty quick. They're either like it makes me like if they say there's a level, like there's a scale, like it makes me uncomfortable. Okay, I can work
Uh-huh.
with that. Like
Right.
I can work with that. But if they say, well, they're going to hell, both of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And
an abomination. Think of the children, any of that crap.
my mom was weird about it because she was like, I just don't want to see it.
Uh-huh.
And and I'm just like, I mean, yeah, it's weird for you. But like there are lots of things weird for you. You know? Eating guinea pigs is weird for you, but it's a cultural cuisine in Peru.
Right.
Like, and so I mean there's not really anything wrong with saying it's weird because
Right.
weird is essentially something you don't do.
Right. It's singular. Weird is relative. Like it's your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see here. I had a thing here. Yeah, so we were talking earlier about the I think we mentioned it very briefly, but the Bush campaign and all of
Yeah.
that. I was wondering, this is not to point fingers or make a statement on any of this, but you're a little older than I am.
Right. At least three
You
months.
you are a good way to put it is you've been involved in politics longer than I have.
Uh-huh.
And I'm wondering, like, for the most part, as far as my political journey goes, have
Uh-huh.
only lived in a political world that comes from social media.
Hmm. True.
And so I'm wondering how social media has affected campaigning and the issues brought forth as sort of hot topic issues, hot button issues.
Yeah.
Like, as far back as I can remember, I was seeing anti-gay posts on social
Mm-hmm.
media, and, Obama will make marriage equal and all of that, and McCain
Uh-huh.
wants to keep it traditional. And
Right. Well,
so,
even though,
like,
they were both anti opposed to gay marriage.
yes,
Obama favored civil unions or whatever.
yeah, he favored not stirring up the status
Yeah,
quo.
he was a politician.
Yes, but
Like,
he was
but that,
a centrist.
yeah, yeah,
And
definitely.
and so I wonder, like, has social media given rise to more hot button issues than we've seen in prior elections? Whereas the main issue going into, the George Sr. and I don't even know who his opponent was in 1994 or 19, yeah,
When the second time senior ran or the first time?
whenever he was elected, was he two
When he
times?
won? No,
Yeah,
he was a one term because the second
yeah.
term he lost to Bill Clinton. Who did he run against? Oh, I want to say it was Michael Dukakis.
Well, that's why he lost right there with a name like that.
Right, right, right.
I
And
ain't
I'm just
voting for no
remembering Saturday Night
Dukakis.
Live. That's why I don't really yeah, I think he was running against Michael Dukakis. Was the guy that's a fun
There's a
word to
joke
say,
in there somewhere.
Dukakis.
Sounds like an evil Jedi, Darth
Right.
Dukakis.
Darth Dukakis.
But
Uh
yeah, I wonder if like because now we've got all these boogeymen, right? We've got
yeah. Yeah.
all these boogeymen. We got illegal immigrants. We got, trans people. We've got
Hmm.
pandemic uh deniers, or whatever. We got pandemic supporters. We've got all of these hot button issues because you can be as various as you want given the wildfire that is social media outrage.
Yeah.
Whereas before, what did you have? You had TV ads in between
Right.
your regularly scheduled programming, and you
Right.
had news outlets.
Right.
Whereas now you have a much larger audience that is instantly reachable.
Hmm. And it has changed in that, before the Reagan administration, the news was fair and balanced by law. You couldn't have a Fox News. That couldn't exist. And in fact, as soon as that law was stricken is when Fox started becoming a thing, that kind of super biased news programming. It used to be the law, if you have the Democratic candidate on your show and let them talk, then to the minute you have to have the Republican candidate on, give them the exact same amount of time, the exact same platform. And the news was far less opinionated. It was way drier. It was way more boring. It was way more, this is what happened today in the world. And here's a look at it happening. There it is happening. And these are the facts. And if there was an opinion piece, it would be presented as such. But you'd have to follow up with an opinion piece on the opposite side of the aisle if it were political. And that changed a long, long time ago. But I think what social media in particular has changed about the political discourse and like elections and such, not the issues, like social media may have probably does absolutely have something to do with the visibility of transgender people today. And that's why that probably is the issue that it is. But as far as like taxes, gays, guns, abortion, military, the budget, how do you run the country? Like all those things have always been what they're talking about on TV or in newspaper interviews. But now I think it's the disinformation campaigns that are just, those are new
Yeah.
to the degree that they exist, you know? Like it used to, a politician would lie. Politicians have always lied, but the news used to, there used to be such a thing called journalistic integrity. And the news would call them out on it a lot more than they do. Well, Donald Trump turned politics into a circus where he was getting free coverage just by being insane, and all the news people would cover it. So he was getting way more time, but it was social media. Donald Trump would be sitting on the toilet and tweeting, yeah, Rosie O'Donnell is fat, and then all the news anchors. No, God, there was just this week a Saturday Night Live skit that perfectly illustrated this, where they had Rachel Maddow, I think, is it CNN? I don't know. But they had those anchors and they were trying to have serious discussions about, what's going on in the world right now. And then, breaking news would fly across the screen. Donald Trump just said some maniac ass thing. And then they'd start talking about that. And then be like, wait, 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 let's not do that. Let's really talk about what's
Let's
really
go
going
back
on. The
to,
breaking news: Donald Trump just ate his left foot in front, like something like just some insane crap. And that because he's doing that on social media.
yeah.
He's doing that on social media and forcing everyone to look at it and getting himself extra airtime all across the board. There's
By just
like
being
Donald Trump
unhinged.
being nuts is what everyone is talking about. And it's, the P.T. Barnum thing. There is no such thing as bad publicity. I think that was
That
P.T. Barnum.
I don't know who said it, but I actually had that thought recently. What what percent of the time do you think that all publicity is good publicity?
I don't. I mean,
You
I
know,
don't. I think I get where that phrase is coming from. It's just that I think some publicity is in fact bad publicity, but it's in the social media age, like with the,
yes. It,
everyone's like, oh, Trump did a terrible thing, and the people who like him say good. So I guess it's not bad publicity if it's riling up your base because it pisses off the people you want them to be scared of anyway. Like, I don't know. I mean, that is like almost a topic unto itself. Like, is there such thing as bad publicity? Because, I would think, there are things that would turn me off of a person or a thing, like I'm trying to think like okay, J.K. Rowling and her transphobic horse crap, to me that's bad publicity. Like she lost my business, but the boycott, and this is the thing about boycotts, um often, J.K. Rowling made mad money when people started boycotting her because the other side ran out to support her. They bought Harry Potter books they already had 3 copies of. Like she made more money during that boycott. So was it bad publicity just because she did lose people, which those people would say that's bad publicity, but she still profited off of losing those people.
I
I'm
guess,
going to go buy Harry Potter and own the libs.
well, the comment, or rather the phrase, all publicity is good publicity, is probably in relation to monetary net gains.
Mm.
And so if
Ah,
you're
yeah,
talking
you're
about,
right. You're
and so
right.
if you specify it to be like moral ground,
Hmm.
then not all publicity is good publicity. But if you take into context what the phrase is probably intending,
Yeah.
I would probably go as far to say that 90% of all publicity, like 90% of the time, all publicity is good publicity because
Uh-huh.
in that's mostly in reaction to once again uh Elon Musk's Roman salute, as the
Oh,
right wants to call it. Um,
bullshit.
and you know, I've accidentally waved sometimes and been like, oh shit, like
Right.
let me bring
But you
that in a
didn't
little bit. Uh,
immediately turn around and do it again so that everyone was sure to see you.
yeah, exactly. Towards the flag, no less.
Oh, Lord.
And
Oh, and I just fact checked myself. It was P.T. Barnum who said that. Go on.
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I don't even know who that is.
P.T. Barnum, circus. He was a circus guy.
Oh, gotcha.
Barnum and Bailey, I don't know. I can't remember. There was a
But
circus. There's a movie with Hugh Jackman singing songs as
oh
P.T.
yeah,
Barnum.
that's right. And
The
didn't he do a
Greatest
lot of
Showman.
The Greatest Showman? My sister loved that movie, and I was like, didn't he like? Wasn't he like horrible for animal welfare? Like,
Yes, no, no, yes, exactly. But it's another topic for
anyway,
another
another
time. What were you
topic.
saying? Sorry to
Uh,
derail you. I just wanted to make sure I
no,
was
but
fact checking
I would say that
myself.
90% of the time, all publicity is good publicity because
Mhm.
I mean, you see it time and time again. Elon Musk does a Sig Heil on live
Uh-huh.
television, and then Tesla stock goes up.
Mm.
It's just like,
Right.
he's trending now. Like it is so
Right.
important to
Well,
be trending now. For
right.
whatever reason, the
Uh-huh.
more Donald Trump gets talked about, the more
Right.
Elon gets talked about, it's better for them,
Hmm.
no matter what they're being talked about.
Right, and it's free. Like it's free advertisement. And if you put money into it, it gets more
More
views.
traction.
And that's the thing about money in politics too. Like they own all the social media
Like
now.
it
Like
was
the
almost,
billionaire class, the
yeah,
oligarchs.
it was almost a bad thing to like, I can't say this with any sort of confidence really, but just riffing here. It was almost a bad thing to have a nationally broadcast Trump uh litigation for all of his criminal cases because we kept that MFer in the spotlight,
Mm-hmm.
front page news for 4 years
Yeah.
in preparation
Yeah.
for him to run again, where he is still a household name.
Right.
We
Yeah, he
made
never stopped campaigning.
No, and we practically gave it to him with all the
Yeah.
publicity we gave to him
Yeah,
throughout.
exactly.
And so for 4 years, he is still largely in everybody's mind, except
Mm-hmm.
this time he's the Messiah that's going to save us all. We tried a Democrat, and What we need is some good old Trumponomics to get us back on
Mm,
track. That was uh, apparently that was the American opinion.
uh-huh.
Hence why he's in office again was because, but all publicity, we were dragging him for 4 years,
Yeah.
largely in the media. We were talking about how, his campaign was a failure, a joke.
Hmm.
And what happens? He comes back and wins it by a decent margin.
Right.
And, so
Enough of
I'm
a
all
margin to win it, you know?
enough of a margin to win it. And so, I wrote down here, do you think that in the modern political age, social media is used to find the next boogeyman? Do you think that they are monitoring what is trending? Let's make that an issue and
Okay,
let's
yeah,
run with it.
because again, like trends people with YouTube channels
Yep.
made it more acceptable, made it more visible. That's something a conservative politician can look at and say, I bet I can scare some church ladies to death with this. You know,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I think it's to some extent, yeah, they may be looking actively for the next boogeyman on social media. Just what is trending and how do I make it scary to
Yeah.
old people? How do I make it scary
Playing off
to
of their
the
constituents'
uneducated?
fears.
Yeah.
And
How do I make it scary to Christians? You
whether
know,
they're like completely unbased opinions
hmm
or unjustified fears or
Right.
any of that,
Right.
you can run with it as long as you make it sound scary enough.
Yeah.
And
You
you
know, like the
and
say, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead. No, but you jump
Like,
on the trends and you're good to go. You are now trending. If
yeah.
you find what's trending and you jump on it,
Uh-huh.
then you are
Exactly.
now trending.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was gonna say. It's like the Satanic Panic in the 1980s, or Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, like, because that was popular. That wasn't an issue before. They weren't t making you scared of Satanists, but now social media, yeah, makes it way easier to dig up some new boogeyman.
And like we're going to talk about this, in another video, but with the all my social medias right now are just full of Elon. Just
Yeah,
full of, what
Rasputin.
was it a genuine, Hitler salute, Nazi
Hmm.
salute, or was it him just being a dumbass? Or was it being him being calculated, as in the internet is going to go crazy if I do a my heart goes out to you,
Yeah,
but
or
in
was
a
it
little
all
bit of
of
a
the
different.
above?
Yeah. And so, like, I really, here's my hot take. I don't really think he was doing a Sig Howl.
Hmm.
I think he's just a moron and doesn't
Hmm.
realize that the motion he's doing is a little too straight arm to be acceptable. Because usually, my heart goes out to you is heart and then open palm. It's palms to the sky. It's my heart goes
Uh-huh.
out. It's out. It's not the other one. And,
Yeah.
he did it a little
Yeah.
too enthusiastically.
Well, and this whole regime
And
is
yeah,
very they seem to be obsessed with Nazi ideals.
yeah,
So it seems a little bit to me m less likely to be a coincidence because he's a dumbass. I do think he's a dumbass.
right.
And it is very possible. Like the thing is, we're debating something. Like the world is debating something we cannot know the answer to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
And there
know?
it is right there. I
Mhm.
mean, because at the end of the day, Elon is a person. I don't even know him. I only know his,
Right.
like
Right.
we've touched on here. I only know his public persona.
Exactly. Yeah.
And, it's an interesting thing to be sitting here talking about and judging a person for their online persona, but
Uh-huh.
that online persona or public persona, however you want to put it, is now impacting people's lives
Right. And
to
that
to a great
public
scale.
persona is a choice.
Yeah. And because like I said, I've done some goodbyes that were a little too Third Reichy for my liking
Hmm.
and some waves, but and that's but it's just weird. you know, he's just a weirdo in many
He's a total
regards,
weirdo. Yeah.
and you got to have a little more like media training would be the words I would use.
Mm.
Um, to be like, hey, if you didn't mean to do that, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Like, and you did it twice, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. And he's done the my heart goes out gesture before a little bit more
differently.
successfully.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's done the heart with his
Yeah.
palms and then went like this, like Jesus,
Uh-huh.
welcoming people in, because it's supposed to be a hug,
Yeah.
not a slap down
Yeah.
the minority pose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he's. We're gonna do another video on that. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that. But yeah, social media. I mean, okay, so do you think overall, is social media more good, bad, or ugly?
that's a good way to put it. I'm glad we titled it that because I think it's just ugly. I think it's an ugly
Mm.
place. I don't think social media has in and of itself the capacity to be good or bad. I think it's a
Mm.
tool that is often used in an ugly manner.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that would be my final take on that is that people can choose to use it however they want,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a we've given everybody a platform, and then we've incentivized hatred through monetization. We've done away with discourse through censorship
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
and moderation. And I don't mean moderation as in be a moderate. I mean it as the position of a moderator in certain social media applications. You can delete comments you don't like. You can, make misinformation appear real by taking screenshots and then editing them. You can use AI software
Yeah.
to deep fake to impressive degrees. And so I think it's a tool that's going down a very ugly path
Yeah.
towards the peasantry of the world, which is you and me.
Right.
And the
Mm-hmm.
less informed you are and make yourself personally, the more dangerous of a place a social media platform becomes
Yeah.
because you expose yourself to so-called trusted individuals who are really wolves in sheep's clothing, seeking your vote, seeking your money, seeking your time, attention, and
Uh-huh.
validation. And it's a dangerous place. If I were a child fathering person, I
Mm-hmm.
would be very afraid to let my children explore social media.
Right. Right. No, for real. Yeah, I that would be a very difficult terrain to navigate as a parent, I think, and that's not an experience either of us has.
No,
But
not something I envy.
no. And like I think I largely agree with you on the is it more good, bad, or ugly thing that it's primarily ugly. I think like while you were talking, I kind of had a metaphor in mind that came to mind. Like I think social media is a hammer covered in shit. Like
Mm,
it's a very useful tool. You can use it to build things, you can use it to fix things, but you can also use it, it's got two sides. You can use it to pull nails out and deconstruct things. You can use it to tear things up and break things. And either way you use it, it's covered in shit.
yeah,
Like,
I don't want to
so,
touch it.
yeah, exactly. But, it has its good, it has its bad, and all of it's ugly. As we sit here on social media, please like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and
And
subscribe. Sell
please,
us your
please
soul.
do. Right. If you don't think we're too ugly, not too
Yeah.
ugly. But and that's the other thing too. It's like it's not really objective which thing the hammer is doing. Is it building and fixing, or is it breaking and tearing down? Because two people could watch this video and each one of them could say the opposite. Like some people could say, I think they're doing good things with social media. The other person could say, I think they're destroying society.
Yeah,
Autodidactica destroys society. The movie. Because all our episodes are so long. Every title should be followed with the movie.
Finn. Yeah. No, and I could ramble on and on,
Oh yeah, I could too.
but
But
I feel like those previous two statements pretty much encapsulate the
mm,
essence of this video
oh yeah.
and this topic discussion. I mean, there's always a year from now, our stance could change,
Right,
you
right.
know? In
That's the thing
season
about being
three,
open-minded.
yeah, and
Right.
in season three, we could have a revisiting social media.
Hmm.
What does it become? And
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows. And social media will always be, at this point, a part of our lives. It will
Right.
be it
It's
will it
here.
will be mentioned in future videos of
Hmm.
unrelated.
Right.
Like, I just wanted to make a topic about this particular platform
Right.
that sort of encapsulates my views on it going forward, to where when I reference I saw on social media this and that, you
Hmm.
may have a little bit more background on all of my, or at least a piece of 2 hours worth of my thoughts and opinions on
Right.
those particular platforms.
Yeah. Well, I thought it went well. Thought it was a good conversation. I'm glad
Yeah,
you
I think
brought
so
this
too.
topic up. Because I mean, it's epically relevant to literally every aspect of 21st century life.
Yeah, there's no getting around it. Even if you're not on any of them, you know what they are, you know what they're there for, and
Right.
you know what happens on them, and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right. And if you want to find our ugly stuff, we're on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, you know that. But you don't know, we're also just a podcast. So we're on Spotify and Amazon and more to come. If you want to leave a comment on YouTube, we'll get back to you. I mean, say more than bad. Tell us why we're bad. I'm
Yeah,
curious. I want to hear, let's have a civil discourse about how bad this podcast is.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Rip into our personal appearance,
right,
and
just tear us
you
up,
know,
tear us up. Well, I mean, I'd rather you not. Let's discuss the topics. Let's not get ugly. I mean,
yeah,
social media is ugly. Let's not contribute to the shit on the hammer.
yeah,
But and if you're not on YouTube, you can email us at autodidacticapodcast@gmail.com.
that is correct.
And yeah, like every now and again we remember to talk about
The ways you
viewer
can
and
reach
listener
us.
comments, but we do sometimes. So reach out. Tell us what you think about social media. The
Yeah,
good, the bad, the ugly,
what platforms you use,
the
how you
porn. I
use
mean, whatever.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy that porn sites have share buttons.
Wait, they do? I guess I don't pay that much close
Yeah, no,
attention.
you can share it directly to your Facebook. Like, I think Uncle Elroy would love this video. And
Oh,
I don't know anybody personally that does that. I've never done
right.
that.
Like, okay, this is a weird thing. This is a weird social media thing. Just, I know we're wrapping up, but this
Yeah.
just happened in my face like yesterday, where there was someone I followed on, what used to be Twitter, which I'm definitely gonna jump ship on that whole platform. But like this happens more and more because we didn't even touch on like OnlyFans and such. But
Oh,
like there
no,
was
no.
someone I followed on YouTube years ago because he did cool film stuff. And I guess for some reason I also followed his boyfriend on Twitter. Like because they
Oh,
were just
boy.
yeah, no. So as of yesterday, I open up X and just to see it's doom scrolling is what I do on X, which is why I got to get off of it. But there's a big ol' I know what gender you are right in my face. And I'm like, I don't follow anyone like this. I don't follow any of these people. How, why? And then I scroll down and there's more. And I'm like, what in the hell? And then I figured out because I do follow this person. And then I figured out who it was. It was that guy on YouTube's boyfriend. I guess his life has changed. And now
Apparently so.
now he has an OnlyFans he's promoting on his X. So I unfollowed him so that I can open X up in front of people without worrying about
Yeah.
big dong on on filling up my phone screen. So yeah, it's ugly out there,
Yeah,
folks. And
power
everybody's
to you.
showing you. Yeah, right. Yeah, but I've said my piece. I'm
You won't
done.
find our OnlyFans.
Right, not yet. We're not that desperate yet.
No, no, and or creative,
Right.
but maybe we'll start a Patreon, a little more tame OnlyFans one day.
Yeah, right, right. With tasteful nudes.
Yeah, and maybe some outtakes
Right. Yeah, no, we've got
that we can
plenty.
sell to you.
Right, right. Yeah, I think when
Uh,
we get enough subscribers, that's definitely something.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure the fans would love to see that. Not the OnlyFans part.
Right, not the
But
tasteful nudes. Huh.
no, not the tasteful nudes.
All
Some
right.
I don't even know how to say those words. Boudoir.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
I've only read it. I
Yeah,
don't think I've ever heard it said.
boudoir.
Yeah.
I don't know how you say it correctly.
But what
I'm
are we
with
doing
you. I've
next
only read.
month?
Oh, next month we are. Dang, I just looked it up before this. What was it? What was it? Because yeah, we want to say that it was. I'm gonna look it up again. I closed it after I looked it up because I'm like, I will definitely remember that.
I will entertain
Um,
you for the time being.
yeah, sing us a song.
I'll sing you a song about one of the topics I didn't touch on during this video that you all can just think about. Man, it's weird to post your kids on Facebook.
Oh yeah, it's scary. Like I don't understand people who do that.
Yeah,
It's like
it's just
there's too many pedos out there.
it. I mean, I'm not your parent. I'm not your kid's parent, so it's up to the parents. But
Hmm.
personally, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of physical media. Like I love like taking pictures of
Oh
things,
yeah.
but like, I buy disposable cameras still, and I buy uh the Instax Polaroid pictures. I take that
Uh-huh.
thing with me when I go places and take awful pictures of things that would look great on my iPhone 15, but I want to physically have the picture in my hand. And I just love the nostalgia of going through my old photo books. And I also love as far as disposable cameras go, I love that you don't know how it's going to turn out until you get the pictures developed.
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
I love, oh, haha, your eyes are closed during that one. Good thing we took two and stuff like that because
Yeah. I love
as,
and hate that.
as a self-conscious, as a person that exhibits some various forms of self-consciousness, when I take pictures, I'm like, oh, take it again. Looks terrible. Oh, take it again. Don't like that one either. Not really. I just take a bunch and then pick the best one. But uh, I like preserve the moment for what it is. Don't get too hung up on it.
Hmm.
You winded it up and you took your little and then move about and go on. But anyway, what are we doing next month?
You're old. Next month we are doing storytellers
Oh, that's gonna be a
where
good one.
yeah, that's going to be a good one where we're literally just going to be discussing storytellers who have inspired us or who have impacted us. So that is going to be a good one.
Mm,
I'm looking forward to that.
yeah, I mean, oh no, I have to read a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Dang, research is
Yeah,
going to
I
be
get to think
difficult for
about
this one.
stories I love. No, what's going to be difficult about that one is saying, all right, and
Keep,
now we have to end the
yeah,
episode.
keeping the episode under 3 hours,
Right, which we need to do now. Like we end these things like Return
20
of the
minutes.
King.
Yeah.
Like we're like, all right, and that's it. Oh, but by the way, oh, and we both throw in last thoughts, and I'm doing it now. We're just gonna keep talking. Somebody has to end this. Who has
Yeah,
a gun?
see you tomorrow. Anyway, we're Autodidactica. Thanks for tuning in.
Right, and we will see you next month with storytellers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.